Well, the motivation actually came from two professors who came to visit me. The two of them came to my office at Harvard and said, you know, Ray, what you're teaching is what we want to teach in our land-grant colleges and other universities around the world. We need to have an association that represents that thought process and that research process. And we'd like you and the two of us to sit down and create a constitution for it. We wanted to add a new organization that encompass not just agricultural economics, but the whole global food system, to look at the food system as an integrated, interdependent system, so that we were not just looking at only as economists, but as practitioners of management as well. And that's why management was part of the title of our organization. And at that first meeting, we had professors from Australia, we had professors from Latin America, we had professors from Europe, so that we wanted it to be global right from the beginning.
One of the things that was so important to me about IFAMA is that it's a global organization. We've always moved the annual conference around.
It was a great working together and experience to partner an important conference such as IFAMA. We really refined the model to include the whole idea of partnerships. It also led to some interesting international linkages that we could build on the Argentinian conference and the Rotterdam conference that actually followed. I want to go back to my first conference. The first thing that struck me was the true interaction between industry and people in the operational world, where I came from, with people in the academic world, where I moved into. You could rub shoulders with top CEOs. I remember I met the CEO of Unilever, of Rabobank, some of the top people in the Asian agriculture economy, CEOs, and you could talk to them and they were prepared to spend time with you. And then the academics, there were some excellent academics there.
The network that at that time IFAMA proposed to all of us, and the way to work very easy and very quickly, led to big friendships over decades, not only years, over several decades.
One of the things that we did in that strategic plan is we put in a new pillar for human capital. What does IFAMA do? We bring together the academic community, we bring together industry, and bring together students. And it's really about developing that next level of human capital.
Provided initial funding when I was with Farm Foundation. We provided the initial funding for the case study students to be supported to attend the conference.
Well, I got in the organization probably about 10 or 12 years ago. I went to one of their meetings. I attended both the academic symposium and also the industry forum. And what I came to see was there were all these great students and the interaction with the students, and I saw there was an immense talent that was there. And I, as a CEO of a company that was operating globally, it was a great chance to be able to find some talented folks to come into my organization.
To me, this is what IFAMA is about, to connect youngsters with very successful people in industry that can sort of lead the way for our own futures and our own careers.
It's amazing when you watch such a dynamic group of young people, 4 groups of young people, really trying to get their head around something that for me is my daily life, I suppose, because I'm also a sheep farmer as well as being a professor, and so I've sort of lived the New Zealand sheep industry for 30 years, and to see a group of young people trying to understand the intricacies of why we do what we do and what the potential markets are offshore was really quite fascinating. And it was wonderful just to watch their energy and their ability to actually sort of think something through, often for some of them in a product and a market they knew nothing about to start with.
What has changed since 20 years is that In fact, it's not only, when talking about the young people, not only about today education in a formal way, but it's mainly understanding what are the skills young people need to enter into a professional career. Because the skills are really now, they are almost overnight, they are changing. And so the responsiveness of really being prepared is extremely important. And this can only be done if you have both. You have the private industry there and you have academia there talking to each other.
From the perspective that I've seen or that I've experienced during the last 20 years of attending the conference is just I've gained a much better understanding of what people are thinking as far as the research that should be done that's important to agriculture in whatever country that we may be concerned with. For instance, I've learned a lot about how Europeans think about food and also South Americans. And that's helped me in my research to make sure that the research ideas that we are pursuing are going to help.
Or what drove the organization in 1990 was different from the needs of the world in 2010. In 1990, nobody was talking about, bringing together industry and talking about these, academic and agribusiness issues around the world. In 2010, suddenly we're having conferences every place. Even I think Ray Goldberg would say the same thing. One of his motivations that I remember in that first meeting in 1990, it's like, this organization can help make sure that the academic community does relevant research.
It all ends up in an issue that we don't have time to think nowadays. We are so exposed to all these media, whatever coming. So when are we stopping to think? And the chance of being here these 3 days, it's always wonderful because we think, we learn, we listen to things that are going on, and we upgrade.
What was so unique was the topics. In fact, they were looking forward. They started talking about, from the supply chain, they moved to the value chain networks, competitiveness. So the topics was quite unique.
So one of the things that we are trying to look at this conference is addressing food security and seeing what are some of the unanswered questions and how is it that IFAMA can get involved in answering some of these questions.
In one of our meetings of the organization in Italy, we spent 3 sessions on how do you get trust in a system? How do you enable people to trust one another? People who want to make a difference in how the environment works and how we eventually do a better job of maintaining the health of plants, animals, and human beings. And to me, that's huge. And we need that kind of relationship in our world today more than ever. And I think that IFAMA has a huge role to play to show that people can work together.
The slogan that I will never forget is that we feed the world. And that always made me very proud to be associated with IFAMA, because we all participate in one of the most basic activities in life, and that's feeding people. And
what else than feeding the world and keeping also the world for the future generations? How many things do you perceive that can help or improve peace possibilities? Happy 30 years IFAMA and all the members, but my wish for another 30 successful and happy years.
Happy 30 years and wishing many, many more of bringing healthy food to the world.
Happy 30th birthday, IFAMA.
Tanti auguri a IFAMA and happy birthday for the next 30 years.
Happy birthday, IFAMA.
Happy birthday, your 30th birthday, IFAMA. I'm so pleased that you arrived at this stage, and I wish you well and hope that it's only the beginning.
Yoo-hoo! FAMA, go for it. Never stop. You changed my life. I wish that you change the lives of many other people, especially young people that are entering the ag and food business environment. So congratulations, IFAMA, congratulations.